Hi, my name is Justine Curran and I am a photographer based in Sydney, Australia. And today I'm going to show you how to use Lightroom to edit eyes and really make them pop and make those iris colors really vibrant. So the first thing that I'd like to really lay down as a foundation is what image you're working with for this particular result to be really successful. If you're working with a subject that is facing the light and the light is entering the eye and reflecting all of those beautiful colors, then this kind of editing is going to be far more successful in comparison to working with an image where the subject was being backlit from a light source being behind. So making sure that the eyes are very well exposed, lots of light entering them, and go from there. Once you have imported your image into Lightroom, the first things that I like to get out of the way is correcting any exposure, shadows, any of those details, applying presets, adjusting your tones and colors, doing what you would normally do to edit, and then adjusting the finer details for the irises and other eye details. So once you've done that, go ahead and select a new brush. The brush tool is what I usually use to edit eyes. Some people are different. You can use a radial tool. That works perfectly fine, but I do prefer to use a brush tool to be a little bit more specific in where I'm applying these changes and have that flexibility. Okay, so grabbing new brush. These are all the brushes that I've applied before. Once I delete these, you'll be able to see just how some minor changes can really make a difference. So go ahead and press O on your keyboard. That will highlight the areas that you're painting and you'll be able to see exactly what's going to be affected by this particular brush. Now I would go and select and do this individually, but we're just going to adjust the exposure first. So being that these eyes are lit pretty evenly, I'm not going to make individual brushes for them. So press O again, and you just want to make a very subtle change here. You can easily overdo this, and I'll show you what can happen when you do. So the more that you start to increase the exposure, the more washed out and detail that you lose. So it looks super fake. You want to make sure it's subtle and isn't as easily noticed that the eyes have been edited. You want people to really go, wow, how did they do that? Or not even notice that it's been done. Okay, so next I would adjust the whites. With this particular image, the whites are actually really beautifully lit up and don't need much adjustments at all. But as you should know, whites can come in all different shades depending on the circumstance and where it was shot. The whites can look cool, they can look warm. Sometimes you can get redness in the eyes as well. They vary from person to person. So these whites are actually really clean. So not the best example. But anyway. I'll go ahead and show you for the purpose of the tutorial anyway. So toggle off O. Now the whites are really important because they will make an image look overdone and fake if you do it too much. See, as you go too much, just want it to be really subtle. Use the temperature slider if you need some color correction happening. But these are fairly good, so I'm just going to leave it. Select a new brush. Now this eye looks a little bit grey. Alright, so next thing that we're going to move on to is the irises. And I will do these individually. I'll show you why. Let's go ahead and paint over the entire iris. And I would increase the highlights to get those highlights really popping, deepen in the darks and the blacks, increase the color and sharpness, and also creating some definition with clarity. And I'm going to go ahead and do it to the other eye as well. One last thing before I move on to the next one is I also adjust the temperature for each individual eye to bring out the natural tones in each eye. So this girl has brown eyes, so I want to avoid having any blues in the eye, so I want to increase her natural tones. So I'm going to move the slider to yellow to help create that warmth. And new brush for this eye. So increasing the highlights, deepening the shadows and blacks, increasing clarity, increasing color, sharpness. Sharpness could be done more actually. And we want to bring out those natural blues. And there we go. And you can also see there's a little bit of yellow being reflected in her blue eyes as well. You don't want to overdo this because then it starts to look too fake. See that? Less is more. Alright, I'm going to do another brush and just try and fix up this yellow. So that's the irises. You can see they're looking really pretty, very vibrant. It's quite cinematic, but not overdone. I'm thinking maybe the whites could come down a bit more. Try and increase this. That would be why I use the exposure instead of the white slider. So there we go. That's looking better. So the last thing that I like to do is grab a new brush and just go over the eyes, the eyelashes, mainly the iris, and increase clarity and really bring up the sharpness. And there you have it, a really nice image that makes the iris the focal point, and they're popping, they're sharp and crisp and vibrant. I will show you a before and after so you can see the difference here as well. And yeah, it just makes a huge difference. It just really helps bring out all those beautiful colors that are already there. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Please let me know what you think in the comments. And hopefully this helps you get on to editing your own eyes. Thanks.